Daniel Sports Central, big over March Madness game preview and prediction on the Final Four matchup between the Duke Blue Devils and the North Carolina Tar Heels. Both teams have had outstanding runs in this tournament getting to this point. Of course, you got Duke on one side. This team has been a major storyline of this entire tournament, with Coach K being his final run in March Madness. And here they are in the Final Four facing off against their biggest rival in North Carolina for a chance to be in the national title game. And if you look at the Tar Heels on the flip side, this team is potentially the hottest team remaining in the field. It's going to make for a great matchup. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Duke is 32-6 overall heading into this matchup, 16-4 in ACC play this season, and 2-0 in games against the top 25. And if you look at North Carolina, they're 28-9 overall, 15-5 in conference play, and 2-4 in games against the top 25. And you could say the Tar Heels are a surprise team in this tournament, being an 8 seed. Usually an 8 seed being in the Final Four would definitely be a huge surprise. But seeing North Carolina in the Final Four, to me, really isn't a major surprise. I mean, this team has got some tremendous talent. They got some good experience. And, I mean, considering how well this team plays under pressure, we saw them beat Duke. I mean, that was a huge win from North Carolina, beating Duke in Coach K's last home game. I mean, that game was one of the biggest regular season games of all time. And North Carolina went in there and got a massive win. And so, I mean, for North Carolina, an 8 seed to be in the Final Four here, I actually predicted this to happen. I picked both these teams back on Selection Sunday to get to the Final Four in my first bracket prediction video. I mean, here we are. I mean, North Carolina is very worthy of being at this point, and same thing with Duke. I mean, the Blue Devils are a very talented team. They're a bit younger, but despite that, this team has done very well so far in this tournament. Games be on Saturday, April 2nd. Your tip-off is 8:49 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going Duke here by 4.5 points as of right now. Your over-under is 151, and the BPI is going somewhat heavily on the Blue Devils side here, 68.2% being the current percentage. And if you look at the tournament runs for both these teams, Duke, of course, played CSU Fullerton, beat them 78-61 in the first round. They beat Michigan State, which was a huge win there, 85-76. Beat Texas Tech, which Texas Tech was a team that I could have seen definitely getting to this point as well. Beat them by 5 and beat Arkansas, one of the hottest teams in the tournament at the time, 78-69. So Duke has got a really strong resume in this tournament, especially having beat Michigan State, who's really good, and especially Texas Tech and Arkansas. And if you look at the Tar Heels, they beat Marquette, 9 seed, 95-63, scored 95 points in that game. They put up 93 against Baylor, beating them 93-86. Beat UCLA 73-66 and beat St. Peter's, the Cinderella team of this tournament, beating them by 20. They dominated the Peacocks in that game, which was huge. Obviously, I mean, St. Peter's was on fire for sure going into the Elite Eight. So, I mean, that was a huge win as well. So, I mean, both teams have got very strong resumes in this tournament getting to this point. I mean, North Carolina in particular, beating Baylor in overtime, that was massive. UCLA, one of the most experienced teams in the tournament, and Marquette is also a team that certainly had some tremendous talent this season. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup. Duke's got 80.2 points a game, 67.1 allowed, and their BPI rank is 11 versus North Carolina, who's got 77.5 points a game, 71.7 allowed, and their BPI rank is 26. So offensively, both teams are outstanding. You got Duke, who is especially strong offensively. Their defense is good too, but offensively, this team, once if they can get on a run, and I mean, this team is very dangerous. But North Carolina, especially in this tournament, has really impressed me offensively. I mean, North Carolina is not playing like an 8 seed. They have not played like an 8 seed in this tournament. They've played like they're a top 2 seed for sure. By the way, they've played in their games of this tournament, which has been incredibly impressive. And, I mean, statistically over the course of the season, North Carolina wasn't quite as good as Duke was. That's for sure. I mean, that shows why. I mean, obviously, Duke is a 2 seed versus North Carolina, who came into this tournament as an 8 seed. But both teams certainly show some tremendous talent. And here's some key points for this one. Duke 32-6, coming off a dominant win against Arkansas. That was a huge win for the Blue Devils, beating Arkansas. I mean, there were some question marks as to whether or not they could get past the Razorbacks there, but they did. And knowing how the regular season ended off, it's going to be interesting to see how this game goes, considering, I mean, we all know how the regular season ended off for Duke at home. They lost to North Carolina, this very team, in Coach K's last home game. Obviously, everyone knows that. And, I mean, it was clearly one of the biggest regular season games of all time. And, I mean, you couldn't script this any better. Seeing Duke and North Carolina facing off in the Final Four for a chance at a national title game, I mean, it's going to be an incredible matchup, that's for sure. And, I mean, Duke, this team is performing well at the most crucial times. There were a few question marks for me coming into this tournament, considering how that North Carolina game went at the end of the regular season. Was like, could this team handle the pressure of being in a situation like they're in? I mean, this is a unique situation, a one-of-a-kind situation that Duke's in right now with a head coach that's been there for over 40 years. And, I mean, here they are. I mean, this team obviously has got some high expectations, and they've overall done really well despite all of the expectations here. I mean, they're in the Final Four, which is obviously huge. So, I mean, this team is performing well at the most crucial times, and that's really what matters here. In North Carolina, they've been very strong the entire tournament. I would say, I mean, this team has got the strongest resume of any of the 4 teams in the Final Four. I mean, they have been playing lights out, and potentially the hottest team. I mean, this team plays incredibly well under pressure as well. I mean, that's what's huge about the Tar Heels. I mean, this team, they know how to play well under pressure, and in a game like this in the Final Four, I wouldn't be surprised if the Tar Heels went out and, I mean, just took out Duke and made it to the national championship. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I mean, the winner of this game, I probably will end up picking to win the national title. I'm just going to put that out there right now. I mean, both these teams have had outstanding runs in this tournament, and I mean, Kansas and Villanova on the flip side are both very capable of winning a national title, but I really like, I mean, the winner of this game has got a very good chance to be taking down the Nets in the national championship. So, obviously, huge matchup coming up here in the Final Four. Let's get to the prediction here for Duke and North Carolina. I'm going to go with the Blue Devils to get the win here, 76-73. This is as tough as it gets to pick a game. Both teams are very, very much worthy of being in this point, and both teams have got strong resumes in this tournament. But Duke, I feel like this team, it would only make sense if the Blue Devils coming back in. I mean, they're coming off of a loss against North Carolina in Coach K's final home game, and I can guarantee you the players did not like losing that game, and they're going to come into this matchup. They're going to be fired up and ready to go, and I wouldn't be surprised one bit if the Blue Devils won this game. In fact, I'm picking them to win this one. It's going to be close. Both teams, once again, I mean, huge credit to both these teams in how well they've done in this tournament, especially, I mean, North Carolina, an 8 seed, having a tough road to get to this point, and they've performed outstanding over the course of the tournament. I mean, it's very tough to pick, but I'm going to go with Duke here to get the win in this matchup, 55%. Over-under is 151. I'm going to take the under for this game in North Carolina to cover the spread, which is currently 4.5 points towards Duke. With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this game, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.